We're doing what we like to do most of all, and that's talking records. Thank you. Hi, I'm here over in this corner. It's the Fantastic Four. And on this particular episode, we're moving over to the 45 sleeves. We've collected 100. And so it's going to take about, I think, 4 shows to go through all of them. And these are phenomenal records. We have Spencer Drate, Judy Salavetz, are both great, legendary, award-winning, Hall of Fame album cover designers and artists, great with the logos. We'll talk more about that as we go along. Patrick Bamburak, who is a solo artist, one-time member, a founding member of Beethoven. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Without further ado, which I never understood why you say adieu and it means goodbye in French, we have Spencer with our first 45 sleeve that he's going to present.
Yeah, before we get into it, very shortly, I want to say that Patrick produced the Art of Vinyl show, and Zach did the voiceover in it, and Judith and I curated it. And that's the basis of this first interview, because the 45 Cs, I think all of them are from that show that's on YouTube. So let's start off with the lead one, Talking Heads, Take Me to the River.
Okay.
So we're talking about 1978. This sleeve is very incredible. It was in the MoMA show in 2010. It's in the Art of Vinyl cover show on YouTube. It's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame archival collection with our work. And it has a lot of high credentials. This is the photograph, Reverend Al Green type thing that was given to me by Talking Heads, and I did the typography design. This is the USA cover. And on the bottom, the letter set, I put in this art letter set, the show Waves of Water. Anyway, this is the first sleeve. Any feedback on this, Judith, Pat?
Yeah. Well, I just want to say it's a photo of an actual church area, right? It was taken at a church.
Yeah.
Was this in Connecticut by any chance? I forget.
I don't
remember.
Know.
There's some. Know. I don't know the story behind it, but maybe you do. And I saw at one point Chris France and a group in a picture, and it was. I think they were inside this very church. I don't know why that's I'm getting that thought in my mind about the background of that. I do remember buying it on the 45.
Patrick, do you have any feedback on this, Pat? On this record?
Well, one of the things that strikes me all the time too is and this is what you talk about, Spencer, the typography. Tell me, Spencer. So this is my question, my feedback too on the typography. It looks like the letters are moving in the direction of the water flow that you've created.
Yeah, it's a very good point. I wanted to do it in italic. Normally, maybe somebody would do it like a capital letters straight, but I decided to do it in italic, something different, so it has movement. And and in the back, I did the same thing with the B-side. Thank you for sending me an angel. That's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. I wanted to show movement, not keep it still, kind of. I got the water thing and da-da-da, I don't know. It just sort of worked. And the typeface is actually what they used on 77, Talking Heads 77. Times Roman. I believe this is Times Roman. And so whatever,
Did you get your start with the Talking Heads?
Actually started on Richard Hell and the Voidoids, Blank Generation. That I was thrown into that with Stephen Taylor, who was the illustrator. And then after that, I floated into Talking Heads 77, but I only did the typography on the inner sleeve only. Then I came into Talking Heads, Fear of Music, and interspersed with the Ramones, so one thing led to another, but it was great working with the Heads because they were all from an arts RISD, and they all had an art background, design background, and I got along with David really good. He loved my typography. I'd always hear that, and so it was an easy flow. It was really easy. I mean, working with them, it seemed to flow really good, in design. And they were really great at their design. There's a lot of continuity going on with their packaging. If you see their packaging, there's a lot of great stuff, the 45 artwork and other things, it's exciting.
All right, let's go to the next talking head.
So we're
sleeve,
talking about Zach. Very good point. Here we go again. This is Talking Head Cities with artwork by the Plastics, and the front and the back is the artwork repeated. And this single comes off of Fear of Music, of course. You know. A lot of color.
What led to you picking that type of design as far as the typography?
Well, this is interesting. That's a good point. I saw I had no room on this thing. It's a square piece of art. Where the hell am I going to put the type? So I decided to stack it on each side, you see. And that way, it cleared the way for the artwork. I thought it was complementary in the design. Otherwise, it would have been a real problem. I wanted to get the artwork big. I didn't want to reduce it and put the type on top and bottom. That's the other thing. So I thought the artwork was so cool. And I know the group really loved their work. So I wanted to display the artwork as big as I could. And I said I had room here on the left and the right to stack the type, which I think really works well in this type of area. You know, I mean, that's my opinion. Oh, yeah.
Sounds good.
Judith?
Yeah, no, it's great. You know, nice cover, nice 45 sleeve.
Thank you.
I like it.
And
it looks like it has there's drawings inside each of the shapes as well. So that sort of reminds me of the
right.
the alchemy symbols that Judith worked on for Magic and Laws.
That's cool, Patrick. That's a good. Yeah, there is actually in the artwork. Each of the space has little artwork in it. You could see line drawings. You know.
Very nice.
The third one. Oh, go ahead, Zach. I'm sorry.
Okay, no. I was gonna let you put it up, and then I was gonna guess the song. Stop Your Sobbing. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this is from the Pretenders album. It was released in 1979. It's produced by Nick Lowe. It's recorded in England. Stop Your Sobbing was originally recorded by the Kinks, so it's a cover song. I don't know how many people are aware of this, but Chrissie Hynde and Ray Davies of the Kinks had a relationship, and I think they had a child as a result of that. So the album itself was a monster when it first came out. True classic. Very simple. Now, the actual album cover itself, I want you to know it's got the members of the Pretenders on the front, so you know what Chrissie Hynde and the other guys in the band look like, and then it's got the same typography that you have on Stop Your Sobbing right above. So, take us to the album cover to the sleeve design.
Well, what's interesting about the album cover, and I got to tell you a great story. The album cover has the group in a white background, and they're stark in color, popping out, similar to the B-52's cover, which has a yellow in the background and has the group in front in color, of course. So it's a very stark cover. I have to carry the feeling of it over the sleeve. So you've got to have their logo, and that's the Pretenders logo. That's a given. But the story I want to tell you is when I brought our portfolio over to Kenny Laguna and Mara Laguna for Joan Jett, Kenny said he hired us, not for our other work that was shown in the portfolio, but because of this sleeve. That's what he told me. That's incredible. So, and pure and simple, the album we did for Joan, there's a shot by George Hulse's very dynamic shot of the group in color in a white background, which is kind of reminiscent of what we're talking about, that the Pretenders did. It's the second album is very interesting because it's a group shot of them, beautifully done. We'll show it later, I guess, at some point. But it's a group shot again with no type on the front. It's a beautiful shot. So they were into kind of like, I don't know, very simplistic type thing. Mm-hmm. But I like the first album's interesting. Yeah, Zach, it really is a whole trip. That album anyway was monster, right? I mean, unbelievable.
Well, I think just about every classic rock fan has a copy of it, or they should. Cool. All right. So what's our next one?
Next one is our famous Ramones. Don't Come Close. And here we have a very simple cover, but the front has a touch on it. The letters are even, so I started to stack them up. I put a rule on each side to hold it together. It's a very simple cover, but I thought really kind of in your face, you know what I mean, type of attitude, and raw typewriter type, mixed with their logo, very simple. It's a rare cover, by the way. Danny Fields, Danny Fields, the manager, didn't even know that this cover came out. When I told him, he said, "What? You came out with it?" He didn't even know about it. But it's a very rare cover, by the way, to get. Anyway, a great album, Road to Ruin.
Yep. And the Road to Ruin. Well, something there's very interesting. Show me the flip side of that for a second.
Yeah, I Don't Want You is the B side, by the way. Hey, Patrick, do you have any feedback on that? A cover or song?
You know what I'm curious about, and this is again back on the focus on typography, the process of aligning all of that type. And when you talk about stacking, what was the process back then to make all of those letters straight and have that alignment?
Well, believe it or not, this is very good. In the old days, you had what you call letter set. So you can either send it in type or do it on letter set. I did it on letter set. I was really good at lining up letters. I mean, I had you could see that. And I just hand did it. And it just happened to work out perfect, left to right. I didn't even have to reduce any type. It was amazing. And then the logo fits on top. But that's a good point. I did it with letter set type, which is press on type. If anybody doesn't know, you press it onto paper, and you have you do a blue rule so it doesn't photograph. And then you set the type on that, press it down. And it just worked out perfect with the letters. I mean, it just, sometimes when you do even the same amount of letters, it cannot work out on a width, so you have to read. Right. But I didn't have to touch it. It was a great thing, actually. A good point.
Well, this is something I'm learning in working with Spencer and Judith on looking at these covers, which is that, let's say the younger people today, they live in a world where a lot of the art design is all digital, and it's happening on computers. Right. And the process that was used in the previous era, there was, a lot of technology and tools and science, and then also really good eyeballs and judgment and things like that in order to be able to say, are those letters lined up? Or the other thing, I guess, too, is the selection of the colors. A yellow's not just a yellow, right? Yeah. A black is not just a black. A red's not just a red. You have all of these different shades.
I picked up the yellow from the Ramones album cover.
Okay.
So, and the black background, and it's got that little red rule. I like the red. It gives a little bit of intensity, a little bit of a rule to hold it. But it's also interesting. Look what I did with the type. I cap and lowercase to what you call capital D, lowercase don't. Capital C on come and lowercase OME. Capital C and lowercase LOSC. I had a different version I could have done. I did in capital letters, didn't look right. I did it in all lowercase and it didn't look right. But when I did it this way with the type, it looked really cool, I thought. You know what I mean? There was something about it that looked really good. So that's the other thing, the selection of the type. Do you want to do it in capital letters? You want to do it in a lowercase? Do you want to do it in lowercase? Which my partner, Judith, turned me on with an album called The Nightcaps, which I never forgot. She said, set everything in lowercase. And it was a beautiful cover, Judith. Absolutely beautiful.
It is a beautiful cover. But
yeah, we did it.
No.
Yeah. So
the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah, Judith was in my life so amazing with concepts, and she knows this. I would fight with her about something and find out later what a schmuck I was, literally, because her ideas were really top of the line and out of the box before any designers even did some of these ideas.
What I will say about Spencer with the Don't Come Close 45 is, he didn't even have to use a T-square. I don't know if listeners or people know what a T-square is anymore. But, when we, in the early days, we graphic designers we couldn't live without a T-square.
Right.
Spencer didn't have to use it. He was he could eye a straight line. He could eye, if it's 2 inches to the right or 2 inches to the left. He didn't have to measure it. I was always measuring it, but he was able to write on that. Spencer, that was amazing. I thought.
Thanks. And I want to say to people that Judith, she did a lot of the interior designs for our books. 21 books. Judith was Her design concepts and type too.
Yeah.
And Judith, you were really good at type on computer. I mean, forget about it. So I know with the books, you did an outrageous jobs of spacing and things like that. A great concentration on that.
Oh, thank you. Well,
Yeah.
Shall we see our next sleeve, please?
Yeah, we should see our next one. So let's start with a very, very rare sleeve. This was printed Capitol Records. It has the Hollywood copyright on the back, so it's United States release. The Beatles, Leave My Kitten Alone, and in the B-side, Obla Di Obla Da.
Okay, so let me give you a background on this song. This was originally recorded by a guy named Little Willie John, 1959. The B-side of that is Let Nobody Love You, I think. And it was on the King label. I actually had it. I don't know what I did with it, but this is a cover by the Beatles, later on to be released in the anthology, I think part 1, from what I remember. And somewhere in the goodies that you got with the anthology, they talk about this particular album cover, which is a classic in that you have the Fab Four with their sort of medium haircuts, which they considered long in the day, wearing their black tie and their black jackets and the white shirts and, with their hands on the lapels. A classic album. As to what I feel about the song on the A side, okay. But Obla Di Obla Da, which is Swahili for Life Goes On from the White Album. There you go. That's the masterpiece.
It is. And Zach, this is interesting. You brought up a very good point. Why did they put that A side, that song? See, you brought up a very good point, because that song to me is not as intense as Obla,
well,
whatever.
Because if you're going to put together an anthology, which includes those rare recordings from the Beatles, the Hamburg days, the Cavern Club, and all of that, Pete Best on the drums for some of the tracks where he finally made his money. That's how I would market it as well. I would put the A side to Leave My Kitten Alone with the B side, Obla Di Obla Da, and the collector's going to go, what a catch. This is something you don't see every day. It would never be early on something Obla Di Obla Da would never end up a B side of anything. So that to me is marketing brilliance. That's why it's done that way.
I got it.
I think that's Spencer. I think that the story with that cover is initially when it was released, it was considered to be quite rare, because they said that they were releasing a limited edition on that particular 45.
Right.
Because it was to hike up the price for collectors.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading about that cover, that 45, that at the time where they were saying they had released approximately 85 to 100, a really small quantity. The value was somewhere around $600 for that 45. Whoa. But then later on, what happened is, as it turned out, there was a large printing of that particular. It's still quite rare, as from my understanding, and they had printed over 1,500 copies, which is still fairly a small amount, a small number. Do you know the value of that, Spencer, offhand?
I really don't, but I did buy it on eBay. I bid for it. And a lot of times on eBay, they have rare sleeves. Like I got Blitzkrieg Bop on that one with Don Hall, which you'll see at the end of the show. That's a great sleeve, rare. But eBay does that. Every once in a while, someone puts on a rare sleeve and you go on a bid. And I got this pretty reasonably, believe it or not, but it's mint condition and the cover is printed. It's not phony. It's real. It's a real print job.
Did you get the record with it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, well, let's move on to the next 45.
I love the artwork on this. Robert Fisher was the designer. And Kurt, I'm not sure who did this. There's all kinds of credits in the back of the artwork. Jeff McLean, drawings by Brett Morgan. Robert Fisher designed it. It's from the collection of Kurt Cobain archive. I was attracted to the artwork and the type. That's what drew me to this cover.
Robert Fisher, by the way, I don't know, you know this, Spencer. He was influenced by some of the same people that we were influenced by.
Wow.
Neville Brody and
Oh,
David Carson and
wow. Good
and
one.
Ron Oliver.
Yeah, very good. That's
So
a great
he
info.
loved those designers, which makes sense. It's a great,
Yeah.
very interesting cover.
So let's move on to Angie by the Rolling Stones. Now that's a German
Now
sleeve.
this is no Yugoslavia. This is
Okay,
printed in
Yugoslavia.
Angie, right, Zach. Angie, A side, Silver Train, B side, from the forthcoming Rolling Stones Goat's Head Soup.
Right. I must say that this one speaks volumes to me. This particular.
You mean the cover or the song?
The sleeve. The sleeve. What song are we talking here?
Well, listen,
Now-
that song did make it to. You should know this, Zach. Didn't that Angie? It was a pretty hot song on. It was high up there.
Never heard of it. I studied the sleeve. I never heard of the song. Studied the sleeve.
You mean you don't know it was on
Of
the.
course, it's on Goat's Head Soup.
Right.
So since we're talking about that particular sleeve, which I'm sure is really valuable, it's in good condition, so it hasn't been manipulated that much. And then the backside,
Straight away,
Silver Strain.
Right.
So the album itself, Goat's Head Soup, is really interesting in the time that it was, I think, recorded in Jamaica. But at one point, you had that particular track might have been recorded in Jamaica, but some of it was recorded in England. At one point, you have Jimmy Page running into the Rolling Stones during the making of Goat's Head Soup. They ended up recording a track called Scarlet, which is now released along with Crisscross, a bonus track. If you go to newhdusa.com and you look for Scarlet, you'll find the information about Jimmy Page, Keith Richards talking about that. You'll get the video to Scarlet, and you'll find out how you can order the deluxe edition of Goat's Head Soup that has all the extras. It's a box set. It's very nice from the Rolling Stones. So that's something that I think if you're a Rolling Stones fan, you have to have that. My favorite song on that album, Angie's a great song. No doubt about it, Judith. I know the song well. Dancing with Mr. D is my favorite track. I don't know why. It's funky. I do like Scarlet because it's got Jimmy Page on it, and Crisscross isn't bad either. Also, the other tracks do Heartbreaker, as Scott Meany would say, a whole bunch of rock and roll doo-doo from the Rolling Stones, which you can hear those tracks on New HD.
All on New HD.
So this is Foo Fighters. Photographed by Danny Clinch, the famous Danny Clinch, who was on our radio show. He's a great rock photographer. Boda designed it. I was very attracted to this. This is one of my, for some reason I was attracted to it. I like flying saucers anyway, but I like the artwork, the composition, typography, treatment, simple, boom, whatever.
Well, Foo Fighters would go after flying saucers and UFOs back in the day. I think it's even goes back to the World War II era. You got David Grohl as part of the band.
Right.
I think a good collection to have, even on MP3, is Foo Fighters' greatest hits.
Right.
Good stuff.
Good point.
Yep. Like the album.
And of course, it's called Learn to Fly, which makes sense
Right.
with the visual.
And the video is really funny. Check out the video.
Oh, really?
You can always, very funny. I think it's David Grohl in drag as a flight attendant. It's kind of funny stuff.
So this is Prince.
All right.
So Judith and I I remember going over these 45s with Judith. She really liked this, and so did I. I thought it was a very tasteful cover. Type is very complimentary with the photograph. It's almost lost, in fact. It's so nice. The photograph is great. It's a very simple photograph, but look at it. It's very eye-catching. It's a very nice photograph. That's what I thought. Judith?
Yeah, no.
Judith.
I can't. I just love it. That's, you like something, you don't. I just like this.
I see Prince almost as if he's nodding to Jimi Hendrix.
The sleeve was done 1983, and it's also 1999 is a single off of it. That you have to know. 1999, that was a big thing, the song.
And follow up the Prince with the Jimi Hendrix. Maybe we'll see something that relates to it.
Yeah.
Now I'm really interested in the contrast. Well, that's not helpful.
Well, no, that's a lot different.
Oh, wait. Yeah, but look at the look of Jimi Hendrix on there. Like when you get into the actual photography his face. Well, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, so
yeah, it's not
Yeah.
like the other one. The Prince one's
No.
much stronger, right? I mean, it has that whole trip. I mean, the photograph is unreal.
Well, I mean, go back to 1969 or whatever. Hey Joe came out 67. I don't remember the year.
But
do you
but
remember anybody?
This is the other thing. Hendrix didn't have. I looked all over for Hendrix stuff. They're really not that good design. I'm going to tell you, be honest with you. But the first album's pretty cool with that fisheye type thing. But you got to look. There's nothing there. And all of a sudden, I saw the sleeve. I said, "Whoa, this is pretty cool." It looks pretty cool with the type. It's foreign. It's not U.S. Polydor overseas. I thought it was really cool and well done sleeve. I thought.
All right, let's go to the next sleeve.
Judith, we
All
like
right.
this one. A group called B on Columbia. Second Bite of the Apple is the A side, Dreaming of Some Space on the second side. But it's really the album cover. I mean, the 45 cover. I mean, look at that photograph. I mean, that's an eye catcher. Pardon the expression.
Yeah, it's honestly a beautiful, beautiful eye.
Yeah. See, I mean, that's like, Judith, you like this one too, right?
Love it. Love it.
Let me ask you this: turn the eye around and face it, and see what reflection you see in the in the pupil. What reflection is in the pupil? What do you see when you look at the pupil? We can't see what's in the pupil.
Oh wow, good point, Zach. You got something that says, can't read it though. Can't
See,
read it.
this is why you really have to pay attention to labels, and you have to pay attention to the artwork, because it's those little things that you miss, the little details.
You can't, Zach, you can't. But you know what's weird? You're right. There's something in there, but you can't read it. It's impossible to read.
Obviously, you'd have to be in an altered state of consciousness to probably discover what it means.
Now, this cover is really interesting. This is Johnny Thunders, and I was looking for covers on Johnny Thunders, and this one hit me right in the face. It's, of course, no type, great photograph. Absolutely, I thought, astounding photograph. And it's called Hurt Me. The single is called, let's see, Johnny Thunders, Hurt Me. It's Not Enough, Like a Rolling Stone. That's so anyway, the photograph, that's it. End of story, It's a very moody photograph. You could tell. I mean, it's
What's on the other side?
If somebody is going to collect these 45s, Spencer, what's your secret of keeping them in such mint condition?
I got plastic bags for the LPs and also for the 45s. On top of that, I put them in a plastic bag, a number of them. So I keep them well protected both ways, not only the sleeve, but also the group of them in different bags, like airtight bags, slide bags. Talking about good photography, Mick Rock here, guys. Mick Rock, the Stooges.
Iggy, yeah, what is it with the Stooges and Iggy that none of them can wear shirts ever? Right? I mean, I can't invite Iggy Pop over for Thanksgiving. He's not going to put a shirt on.
I mean, Mick Rock photograph, Search and Destroy, A-side, Penetration, B-side.
Well,
I don't know if you want to know the band. Iggy Pop.
No, I do not. All right.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Yeah, right. On to the next.
All right. Who's in the band? Who's in the band, Spencer?
Well, we got Iggy Pop, of course, vocals, James Williamson on guitars, Ron Ashton, bass and vocals, and Scott Ashton on drums.
All right.
A beautiful sleeve.
Saint Etienne.
England. Group in England, and the artwork drew me. That was it. The artwork. Beautiful sleeve, I thought. Absolutely.
It looks like Breakfast at Tiffany.
Yeah. Judith?
Yeah, no, I just a beautiful cover. Nice cover.
Trying to see who did the artwork. Phantom Industries designed it. And that's all they got on this one. Phantom Industries. But I love the artwork. That's what drew me. I said I got to buy it. That's it. I looked at this.
What's on the back side of that?
Some more artwork.
That's interesting, because if you were able to like make it one scene and unfold it,
yep,
it would be the whole table. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, that's cool.
Next one, our friend Jack White. Jack White, have to have Jack White. He puts out great stuff. He puts out great.
Yeah, we have to have him on one of these shows. He'd be interesting.
Oh my God. That black. Okay, so the song is That Black Bat Licorice on A side, Blue Light, Red Light. Something's there on the B side, and this is Jack White's imagery. I mean, it's like that's the way his albums and 45s are. They're very well done, I always think. He sent me a whole box of 45s. I sent him our 45 book. He sent me a whole box of 45s from Third Man Records, one time. He's a very, he's into vinyl. He's a big vinyl person.
Well, he's definitely a throwback musician. He could definitely hang with the best of them. I was always amazed how the White Stripe could make so much sound with two people.
Yeah.
And again, there's no bass there, so the sounds he makes for the guitar are phenomenal.
So the back, you got artwork. You see, you got artwork, a little bit of artwork, and song stack. Put in a plug to Making Vinyl event because he was the first guest speaker in Detroit, and Jack White, and he's part of our supporting members. And Judith and I judge the Making Vinyl event every year, which is founded by Brian Eckes and Larry Jaffe. And they're really good. We were on in fact, the Brian Eckes show recently, a Webinaire Making Vinyl series. But Jack White is a big thing in vinyl. I mean, I met him in New York. He had come to New York. He did a book signing. It's a children's book. He had his children's book going at Barnes & Noble, right across the street from me. I met him there. So I didn't have to go to Detroit. They're very nice guys, very, very respectful. He knows by the way, Judith, he knows our album covers. He really likes our album covers. So the next one, Judith, you like this one. This is one of your favorites, right? This is the Beatles Against the Limousine. This is an overseas print. I don't know what country. It's Odeon at the top, the logo of Odeon. And it's an overseas country, but there's no reference to where. Jack, I got it. Paris.
Oh, Paris. All right.
Yeah, this is the French. Okay, so this is the French cover. Interesting.
Right. Interesting.
Okay, so next one. I think there's no credit on here, but I think Jamie Reed designed this. It's so Jamie Reed. You know what I mean? If you know his artwork.
Look at the writing on the back.
Yeah, it's filled with writing with no credits. It's just a bunch of writing. I got to tell you, there's no credits on the back. Here's one of the things about the Sex Pistols, and I don't know if Patrick was here for when I had Paul Cookie on. Cookie, who plays the drums. A lot of people think that groups like the Sex Pistols and the other punk rockers weren't trained musicians. They just like got up there on stage and wung it, and whatever came out. That's not true. Cookie is an accomplished drummer, and the members of the Sex Pistols could play their instruments. So I don't know where that urban legend came from. And also, I got to bring in Jamie Reed was their designer. So the packaging you'll see on their albums and 45s are basically Jamie Reed. His name isn't on here, which is quite amazing. But he had this thing of cutting out. You see this thing about cutting out, putting type in, raw, very raw, rough. Mm-hmm. This is a big influence in the punk movement. His artwork was major. I mean, I looked at his artwork all the time when I'm working on punk. He had that raw feel, and he was an exceptional artist, and even the back with the type, he's got little things going on. The whole thing put together is perfect for their whole image, the way Sex Pistols were anyway. So this is, talk about reflecting the music and the time.
Is that Cyndi Lauper?
So, yeah. Okay. So this is influenced by obviously a Man Ray photograph, which was very famous. Right, Judith? The Man Ray photograph. Yeah. And this is a eye-catching cover that she did. I mean, this is it for me on her work. And what's going on? A side, one track mind, B side. But the photograph, that's it, end of story. I mean, it's her. It's a beautiful rendition. I thought, anyway, that's my view. I like no type on the front, me. Judith?
Yeah, same here. I mean, I know words other than I love the cover, and I love Man Ray. So,
yeah,
this is a good example of art, influencing art.
Right.
And what's really great is I immediately recognized who it was.
So, Cyndi, I have a story. So Cyndi, I'm up at CBS. I'm working on something with Judith, and she pulls me by the arm. I don't know who the hell she is. And she says, Spencer, come into the office. I just did my first album. I want you to look at it. So I go into the office, and here they are, the creme de la creme of CBS, sitting in their chairs. They're going to watch me give my opinion of her first album cover, which, by the way, is shot by Annie Leibovitz. Her first, a beautiful cover. And I sat there and I looked up at them, and they were looking at me. They're waiting for me to say. I said, "What is this? A E.F. Hutton commercial?" And they all broke up. But it was like, that's where I first met her. And since then, periodically, sometimes I meet her and she go, "Hey, Spencer, how you doing?" You know, she's like, talks like. But she had a great influence on clothes, right, Judith? The going to those shops, those thrift shops. She dressed in that thrift shop clothes. She had a big thing on fashion with that. So next one on a label which is very dynamic, which she had on a 45 book called Amphetamine Reptile Records. They're one of the most notorious indie labels. And I love this cover. Love this cover. It was in our book, and striking and simple and boom, you know, right in your face. The back is just as raw, you know.
Yeah, one's a Yes fan, one's a Rolling Stone fan.
Yeah, I love this. I love this.
That's cool. I like the use of the pink and the black.
Yeah.
This is okay. This is given only to Pearl Jam fans. This is a rare one. Only the fans of Pearl Jam would get this.
The 10 Club. The 10 Club is about $50 a year, and it's really great because you get to pre-buy your concert tickets, and you're right. They have things that only go through the fan club. It's worth being part of if you're a Pearl Jam fan. It's really one of the better fan clubs.
I'll tell you about the single, Zach. This single is really interesting. Are you ready for this? You've got Pearl Jam on one side, and the other side is REM. That's also interesting. The other side is REM. You got two different bands on this 45.
You know what? That would be a good tour. Pearl Jam, REM.
Yeah, this is interesting. But this illustration is beautiful. I mean, when I saw this, I said, I got to buy it. You know, I bought it on eBay. It's a great illustration, I thought. And the back is really cool, too. I mean, the whole package, I thought was really cool.
The front almost looks like a romance era sketch, right?
You know what it reminds me of? Leonardo da Vinci in another era. Or
right,
something.
A Renaissance era sketch.
The Renaissance thing, you know, with the raw thing. And the back, nice artwork, you know, different, nice artwork. So that's that one. And then we come into Moby. We love Moby. Judith? Yeah?
Yeah. Sub Pop record.
By the way, Moby has a 45 book, Judith. I don't know if you know that. He has a 45. Really? Oh, yeah. He loved the 45. I met him at a downtown one time. I gave him a book. He loved the book.
Well, you know.
I love this cover. This is, I think, the first single, in fact. Sub Pop. Oh, yeah. Sub Pop Records. Very famous. Yeah. So this
Everybody
one is
John. It's great.
This one is John Posh.
I love this.
John Posh did the Art of Noise series, and incredible designer in England. His work is phenomenal. He's in our Designing for Music book years ago. He was in our book. Fantastic design. And we've talked about him on album cover too. You know, the album cover. Next one. Ready? The Beach Boys. Now, look at this. 5 of them. There's 5 of them. 5 Beach Boys, man. Check that out. Look at the last person on the right.
Right. That's the cover, right? We're wondering, who is that person on the right?
Who is that person on the right? Right.
Who is that?
Does anybody know?
I don't even know.
No, it's a mystery.
Yeah.
All right. So you got Surf and Safari and 409. It's on Capitol Records. Of course, the iconic Capitol Record building, which is circular in Los Angeles in the Hollywood area as you get towards Beverly Hills. You know, she's so fine, my 409.
I love this cover, Zach. I love the portrait picture of him. It's like really.
I like the kid. I like the kid who's just like photobombing. That's the first photobomb.
And the next one, we're coming into the end here. Our favorite right here, Dion. Love this photograph. Dion. Early photograph.
You know, he's sort of got that Dan Ingram Flingram look, right?
Yeah,
like, he was hanging out with Dan Ingram. Same hair. Dion of the Belmonts, CBS FM.
If I got to show you this. This is me and Dion
Yeah, it's hard to see. There's a reflection.
There we go.
And who's the guy making the face behind that? It's like you got two photos.
Well, this is
going on.
Ariel, Judith. Ariel took this picture of me,
Ah!
and I put that on the back, right? And here you can see us. Perfect. Now you can see Ariel's photograph behind me and Dion at CBS FM radio.
Oh, okay.
I keep that picture because he was so nice. Nice,
Yeah.
real nice
There's
person.
very few people that can say that they're on the air at 101.1 CBS FM, and I'm one of their alumni. So
Yeah.
check this out. You think about this. Q1043, 92.3, 101.1, 93.3 MMR in Philadelphia, Y100 in Philadelphia, and that's just a handful of stations that I've been on. Yeah.
This is the last sleeve, number 25 of our first interview.
It's your building.
This is front and back. There's absolutely, you have to go to the record. There's absolutely nothing in it but the record. So I love that picture. I love the picture, Zach. I love that.
On the back, yeah, it looks like a building near Harlem over by Central Park.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that. You're right. It looks like New York. New York. It looks like New York.
It could be the, East Village, Lower East Side.
Yeah, it could be Alphabet City. We don't know. But what the giveaway on the back should be the clue. See, it looks like it's the lake that's over there in Central Park. What do they call it? The reservoir?
Mm-hmm.
Jackie Onassis Lake or whatever it is. Yeah, looks like it.
And when you got it, you got the you didn't get it in you got it in a folding.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's cool.
So Sub Pop would do this a lot. By Sub Pop Records would send things, the record in it with this, so you got this kind of straightforward,
It's called Modest Mouse.
Yeah, Modest Mouse. Very big group, by the way. Right, Patrick? Modest Mouse, you heard it. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard of Modest Mouse, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you just saying that to act like you know more than the rest?
No,
of us
I
there?
do. I've heard of
that. I figured Patrick would know it. I know Patrick. I'll tell you, I brought up a very good point. In the indie book, 545, so I got in touch with a lot of, Tom Hazelmeyer. There are certain people that had these raucous indie labels like that, right?
Yes.
Right, Patrick? And you know about that. And this is one of them. Now, Sub Pop is interesting because they had the first Nirvana records. They exploit Mudhoney's big, right? Mudhoney.
Yep.
What's that group? There's a lot of great groups coming from Sub Pop, and they've been around since the 80s. My friend Jeff Kleinsmith's the art director, but they started in the 80s with the 45s and the albums. But the 45s they've always kept up to now. It's a whole.
Well, I think that's the way we're headed. Used to be like you have to have an LP or an EP. Nowadays, a lot of the artists I know are just going to single releases.
Yeah, right.
I guess it could be cheaper that way. Most of it's digital, but anyway, you could follow us at facebook.com/BigFatAmerican, and I'll have Judith and Spencer say we can follow them on social media. Don't forget that all of these videos are available on YouTube, Zach Martin Show. Also, we're going to have a series that we're going to design for newhdusa.com. We have a whole TV section that we're putting together. So this plus more can be found at our amazing website. You can also hear us on the radio player right now. We're working on a brand new app, guys. It should be done with the actual player app within a couple of weeks. I just sent it off to Apple.
Great.
Yeah, I designed it myself.
I want to thank Zach because Zach came up with this idea of 145s. And I thought about it. I said, wow, what a great idea. And that's how this interview series is arriving to you out there because of Zach, the concept of this, which I thought was brilliant. Absolutely. It's a nice number, 100. It's not like 500. You know what I mean? It's like, but you can't have 50, right, Zach? You can't have 50. You got to have.
No, you can't have 50 45s. That makes no sense for numerically. I can see 90 45s because that's 45 times 2.
And it's great having Patrick with us, who has just been a wonderful person in our life. And by the way, he produced the Art of Vinyl cover show, Patrick. You produced that Art of Vinyl cover show, which is on YouTube. Everybody wants to see it. It's actively voiceover. Judith and I curated it. Soundtrack by The Cure. And
right. The beauty of that video is the covers you're showing on this interview series. Those are the actual covers on the Art of Vinyl cover show video. And all of the curation, that the lining up of those covers, and then sort of the reality of the little creases here and there, a fingerprint or a piece of tape, but the real covers as their own works of art. So
I'm glad you brought that up, because when we did 545s, I was thinking of the retouching and all this stuff, and they said, no, we're going to leave it the way they are in the book, you know, Patrick. So what you're bringing in is exactly the way it should be.
So
listen,
there's your answer.
Before I leave, I've got to say hello to Justin and Ariel. Justin, Ariel, this is for you. We dedicated this program to you today, okay?